Escape from Ever After is an RPG adventure game that deals in genre-bending storybook worlds and has heaps of cartoony charm. You might also notice that the game looks eerily similar to Paper Mario games, with its 2D cutout characters, turn-based combat, and coin collecting. Going into the game, I was expecting this to be a fairly low-budget indie rip-off of Paper Mario at worst and a passable copy at best. What I wasn't expecting was to fall in love with Escape from Ever After so much that I couldn't stop playing. Frankly, and I'm going to say this up front, it's the best game I've played this year and for a long time. It isn't for everyone, however, so let's get into the nitty gritty of the goods and bads and dive in. You play as Flynt Buckler, a fairy tale hero whose world is taken over by a greedy megacorp called Ever After Inc. You team up with a former adversary, who for legal reasons may or may not remind you of Bowser, to take down the company from the inside. But before you can do that, you have to get a job at the company and work your way up the corporate ranks. You do this by completing the missions that your regional manager Mr. Moon sets for you, and since Ever After Inc. is taking over storybook worlds for real estate purposes, that means you'll be diving into all kinds of storybook worlds to get the inhabitants to sell up, move out, or move on. You start the game off by entering the straightforward fairy tale world of the Three Little Pigs, but you'll soon find yourself in worlds themed with science fiction or Lovecraftian horror. Each storybook has a completely different theme, inhabitants, enemies, and layout, making each chapter distinctly different, which is refreshing and adds an engaging layer to progression. It's a genuine joy to start a new storybook chapter to find you have to learn not only new enemy attacks, but to explore and complete subquests for the inhabitants of the books you're in. Escape from Ever After's story and setting is one that takes the Paper Mario type formula, but makes it for adults. The game's promo material might look cartoony, but this game is firmly aimed at adults. The satire of working for a corporate entity that wants to vacuum up storybook worlds just to make a quick profit is something that you'll only really understand after experiencing the soul-sucking nature of the real corporate world. And if that's a concept you can sympathise with, then you're going to find yourself full-on belly laughing in horror at the jokes and satire of Escape from Ever After. The moment-to-moment gameplay of Escape from Ever After has you and your party exploring each of the storybook worlds and taking part in turn-based combat as you move towards the specific goal regional manager Mr. Moon has set for you. We won't spoil the game and all of its levels, but in the first world, this is to take over the Three Little Pigs and Big Bad Wolf's fairy tale. Your party starts off with just Flynt Buckler and former villain turned friend Tinder the Dragon, but soon you'll pick up the Big Bad Wolf, who is a pacifist who plays music ironically, and more. Exploration has an element of platforming to it, with Flynt being able to jump and throw his shield at things to break them. They don't call him Flynt Buckler for nothing. Inside of broken crates and in hard to reach places, you'll find coins and other collectibles, which you can exchange for various items. There are vending machines dotted around the world where you can spend the coins to regain health and mana, or you can head back to the Ever After Inc. hub world to buy clothes from Dracula or trade ink balls to Vikings for attack upgrades. We did mention this as a game about storybooks, right? Turn-based combat is the name of the game in Escape from Ever After, and it plays out similarly to other games of the genre. Your party comes across various types of enemies themed around the world: wolves, gnomes, pigs, seagulls, and many more, and you have to defeat them in combat. Each enemy has a unique attack, and you have to play to your party's strengths to defeat them. For example, one enemy might hold a wooden shield, which can only be defeated by Tinder the Dragon's fiery breath attacks. Flynt's shield attacks can do AoE to a large area, and the Big Bad Wolf can sprout a plant that does damage to the enemy's backline buffers. If you've played a turn-based game like Darkest Dungeon or Paper Mario before, then you'll know what to expect here. In saying that, Escape from Ever After manages to feel fresh and original, and as someone who gets bored of the repetitive nature of turn-based games, I found the gameplay on offer here fun. However, if you are of a similar disposition, there is no getting around the fact that you'll spend a lot of the 15 to 20 hours of the game in turn-based combat, performing the same attacks and tactics over and over again. You gain XP every time your party wins a fight, and after leveling up, you're given the choice of increasing your HP, your mana, or your trinket points. Trinkets are items that give you buffs, immunities, or new moves, but they each require a certain number of trinket slots. The more slots you have, the more you can equip. As you explore each storybook, you'll also solve environmental puzzles using your party members' unique abilities. For example, the Big Bad Wolf can play a song on his lute that summons a gale force wind that can put out flames or blow away objects in your path, while Tinder the Dragon can burn obstacles down. Escape from Ever After is a beautiful game, with stylish artwork that brings the various storybooks to life. You might be tempted to think that the whole game is a bright fantasy world that pops, but you'll also find yourself in the dark and eerie world of Lovecraftian New England, where you'll have to light torches to find paths forward. From cutscenes to gameplay, Escape from Ever After cannot be faulted in the graphics department. The 2D cutout nature of the graphical style gives the game an original feel and further adds to its satirical nature. The dichotomy between lurid fantasy colours combined with the menacing undertones of Ever After Inc.'s corporate apathy is just chef's kiss. Controls are simple but impressively responsive. In combat you'll be flicking through menus or items for the most part, but you do need to press X or A when attacking or being attacked to increase or lessen damage. You never feel hard done by here, and if inputs don't go through, it's clearly your fault. Escape from Ever After has no voice acting whatsoever. But what it does have is one of the best soundtracks to an indie game I've ever heard. In the fantasy worlds you'll be listening to orchestral tunes that pop, but in say the Lovecraft levels you'll listen to jazz that fits the 1920s and 30s sleuthing you're doing. Combat music increases tempo and pace, and the music is all around an extremely pleasing experience. Some might consider the lack of voice acting a minus here, but I feel it fits what Escape from Ever After is trying to do and adds to its atmosphere. It is a game about reading books after all, and voice acting would have detracted from the experience. Escape from Ever After is the best game I've played in a long time, and it's quickly shot to the top of my list of favourite games. As such, it's definitely a contender for Indie Game of the Year, especially considering the credits consist of only 2 developers who worked on the game. But that doesn't mean the game is for everyone. So, who is this game for, and is it worth buying at full price, waiting for a sale, or skipping entirely? Escape from Ever After manages to combine a wonderfully adult and humorous story about fairy tales versus capitalism, and wrap it in satisfying combat, exploration, and puzzles. It's particularly engaging for players who grew up playing Paper Mario and are now somewhat jaded by the crazy corporate world we've landed ourselves in. For the $25 it will cost you at full price, you get a chunky amount of playtime, and crucially, it's engaging and fun the whole way through. It's a polished experience that Nintendo themselves could have made, and frankly, it's the Paper Mario game that I actually want to play. Original, funny, and not afraid to take a chance. If we're nitpicking, then the turn-based combat can get repetitive, but no more than any other game in the genre. And for that reason, I recommend Escape from Ever After to anyone with even a passing interest in the game. It's worth buying at full price, so there's no need to wait for a sale unless you're particularly strapped for cash, and unless you have a real loathing for turn-based combat, or, well, fun, then there's no reason anyone should skip this game. Escape from Ever After is an amazing game that brought back the word fun for me, and I can comfortably say that this is on my list for the best indie game of the year.